Hey there, friend. It's Kip here, and today I want to talk about one of the taboos of high performance, and that's asking for help. Now, if the mere thought of that makes you twitch, maybe because you're the one other people tend to lean on, well, stick with me here, because I want to reframe the myth that self-reliance always equals strength. So let's start with a quick pulse check here. Have you ever thought to yourself, I should have figured this out by now? Or maybe you hold the belief that real success only comes from working harder. Or perhaps the idea of asking for help makes you cringe. So if you nodded yes to any of those, this is the episode for you. Because the thing is, we live in a culture that worships lone wolf entrepreneurs. The highlight reels shout out, "I built it all myself." And many of us revere the self-made man or woman. But research on modern leadership tells a very different story. Leaders who display measured vulnerability are actually trusted more, provided it's authentic and well-timed. And meanwhile, workplace polls show 71% of employees now expect leaders to model mental health support. So pretending to be superhuman 24/7 isn't admirable. It's actually out of touch with the best practices in today's fast-paced world. So here's the reframe. Asking for help isn't the equivalent of waving a white flag. It's actually planting a victory flag on the next summit of your goals. So just consider Olympic athletes have coaches. Many billion-dollar CEOs hire thought partners to collaborate with. Even the Dalai Lama meets with teachers regularly. And none of these people is fragile or failing. Each of them is just fiercely committed to their own growth and expansion. Now, the thing is that not all help is created equal. So picture two scenarios here. You call a friend, you vent for a while, you probably feel seen and heard, maybe you even exhale a little, and then nothing changes. Yes, you feel validated that the frustrations you feel and the lack of progress you experience are acknowledged by this comforting friend, but are you looking for validation of what is? Or are you looking for a level of support and problem solving that will propel you forward and help you generate genuine, sustained momentum? Now, the second scenario is you partner with an experienced guide, or mentor, or coach, someone who has the wisdom and skill to ask the kinds of questions that instantly reveal your blind spots, and suddenly the breakthrough dam bursts. The clarity spurs you to a 2x, maybe a 5x, maybe even a 10x revenue jump next quarter. Now, both these scenarios have some value, but only the second one generates genuine results. So here's an opportunity for some key self-inquiry. Maybe pull out a journal or notebook and ask yourself this question. Am I craving comfort in this or change? Another way of expressing it is, do I want simple validation? Or am I looking for a solid growth strategy here? Now, a 2023 meta-analysis of 152 workplace coaching studies found significant boosts in goal attainment, in resilience, and in levels of performance when interventions were structured and personalized and when people were held to a high level of accountability. So comfort alone will never produce those kinds of gains. But how do you find the right strategic partner? Because hiring a coach can be challenging, especially now that the profession has absolutely exploded in popularity. So you need to understand that not all coaches are created equal, and many who call themselves coaches, and I'm putting that in air quotes, are people who don't really have the life experience or the expertise or the skill to guide you to your next level. In fact, many so-called coaches aren't certified, which means there are a lot of people out there who really have no business calling themselves a coach. Now, this is not to say that someone getting certified is automatically an outstanding coach, because that's not necessarily true. And it also doesn't mean that someone who isn't certified can't help affect growth and transformation in clients, because I know of people who can do that and they're not certified. But certification does show certain things. It shows a level of commitment to the profession. It shows a commitment to ongoing learning and growth in the coach, him or herself. And it means that this is a person that is taking this role very seriously. So how do you figure it out? Well, you can still find exactly the right person to help you get from where you are to where you want to be by asking some straightforward questions of anybody you're considering hiring to help support your goals. So the first question that you would ask of anyone you're thinking of hiring is this: do you have a coach? Now, why this question matters is that the best coaches can spot blind spots because they're willing to confront their own. They're willing to do the work on themselves. They know what it takes. They've been in the trenches. They may have figured out a few things, they always have, that will help you directly. Now, a red flag answer to that question would be if someone says, no, I don't have a coach. I don't need one. Personally, I would never hire someone who doesn't have his or her own coach, because what they're saying is do what I say, not what I do. Now, a second question to ask someone you're considering hiring is, please tell me about your last personal breakthrough. Why this question matters is it helps to demonstrate active growth in this coach, not merely recycled advice. Now, a red flag answer to this question would be if a person says, let me think about that. Back in 2004, well, the best coaches I know, and I know some incredibly gifted ones, they all work with their own coaches or mentors because they are always working on their own growth. I know I will be learning and growing until the day I take my very last breath. It's just how I'm wired. The third question to ask is, what's your coaching philosophy? Now, this question is important because it helps to reveal the breadth and depth of this person's method. And so a red flag answer to this would be anything that talks about motivation and hustle, go, go, go. Because what I've noticed in the coaching world is that there are two broad categories of coaches out there. And yes, I am generalizing to an extent, but there are definitely patterns that exist that I've seen. There's the first group who have a background in marketing and they can produce beautiful, compelling copy that sounds incredible, but falls far short when it comes to giving the actual transformational support. And then there are those who are outstanding as coaches, but they don't always have the marketing skills to let the world know that. I actually know very little about marketing. I don't have a background in marketing, but I have invested decades of time and energy and money in my own coaching abilities, and I've built a thriving practice from word-of-mouth referrals rather than through savvy marketing techniques. And then the final question to ask is, how do you measure success? And this question is important because it shows a focus on tangible outcomes. Can this person actually speak in terms of tangible outcomes that are completely connected to your specific goals? A red flag answer is anything that talks about the feel-good vibes. Because trust me, the best coaches aren't interested in being liked or admired. They are completely and solely focused on helping you get the results you're looking for. Now, I want to share a quick story with you. A client of mine, I'm going to call her Flo, she hired a coach about 1.5 years ago based on what she described to me as dazzling Instagram reels and a promise by this particular person of a 6-figure product launch in 30 days. But once she got into that coaching container, Flo quickly realized that her new coach had very little actual experience coaching, and the whole episode became an enormously expensive waste of time. So when Flo finally spoke with me, she was really nervous about hiring another coach, which you can understand. Instead of making massive promises and creating sparkly copy, though, I just answered those questions I just shared with you, and then I offered her a complimentary coaching session. And with that one session, Flo instantly saw the difference it makes having an experienced and skillful coach rather than someone who is a skillful marketer. And she was able to make an informed decision about whether I was the right person to work with her because she'd experienced my coaching firsthand. Now, within 4 months of our working together, she had doubled her revenue and cut her weekly work hours by 25%. She's now dreaming bigger than she ever thought possible for herself. Now, I also want today in this episode, I want to dismantle 3 really sneaky kind of shame scripts that we can tell ourselves around this notion of asking for help. And the first of these is the idea that if I need help, somehow it's a sign I'm failing. Because the reality is you're not failing. There is simply a gap in your knowledge or your skills, and the right help at the right time can fill that gap quickly and efficiently for you. The second shame script is the one where we say, I should know this by now. But the reality is when we should ourselves, when we're constantly saying, I should do this, I should be that, I should, we are operating in an energy of obligation. And that is not the best energy for creating quantum leaps. In fact, it's a very low vibrational energy, and it's really the opposite of what you want. And then the third sneaky shame script is the one that says, my peers will judge me if I ask for help. The reality is the right people around you will understand and celebrate your investment in excellence. Anybody who judges you for hiring a skillful coach is simply projecting their own insecurities onto you. So you could just release that judgment right now. Let it go. Woof, it's gone. It's not serving anybody, least of all you. Now, here's a fun fact. A 2024 leadership stigma survey found that leaders who openly discussed their coaching relationships were viewed as more competent, not less competent, because they were modeling continuous improvement. So, if you've been orbital with your goals, and by that I mean you've been circling and circling and circling with no clear landing spot, consider this your invitation to land. Stop all the solitary strategizing and start creating catalytic collaboration. So you can ask yourself, where am I handcuffing myself with outdated ideas of how to achieve success on my own? And what revenue, impact, or influence is out of reach for me right now because of my I need to figure it out alone pride? Now, if those questions cause a reflection, they light a fire, reach out to me. Maybe I'm the right person for you, maybe not, but if not, I can help steer you to someone else who would be the right fit. But either way, let's get focused on breaking that plateau of yours together. My inbox is always open. You can reach me, kip@kipclark.com, or over at my website, kipclark.com. Let me know what's stirring in you. Let's explore your next leveled up move. Because I promise you, when you find the right person to support your dreams and your goals, the sky's the limit. The time is now, and there's no one better than you to make your dreams happen. So let's just do that.